Why can't I stop thinking about food? Am I food obsessed? Am I addicted to food? In most cases, the answer to these questions is no. Hunger isn't as simple as you just feel your belly growl and you go grab a snack. There are different types of hunger that we experience. Belly rumbling is one type, physical hunger, but there is also another universal type, mental hunger. I think that mental hunger was the most torturous part of my eating disorder. It was so mentally painful, keeping me up at night, browsing the Tesco mobile app, dreaming of what flavour ice cream I'd someday eat, and making up pretend sandwiches in my mind. So what exactly is mental hunger? Well, to answer that question, let's take a look at the actual dictionary definition of hunger. According to the Collins English Dictionary, hunger is a word that has two meanings. One, a feeling of pain, emptiness, or weakness induced by a lack of food. And two, to have or cause to have a needing or a craving for food. What do you notice about that definition? Hunger is not limited to the physical signs of appetite, but the mental ones as well. This is where mental hunger comes in. Mental hunger is intuitive. When you are a child, you don't overthink it. You eat what you're craving, or you might ask your parents for what you're craving. You don't worry whether you're really hungry or not. You just eat. Here are some things that can indicate you are mentally hungry, or what it might look or feel like. Watching cooking shows, looking at recipes, thinking about what you've eaten, thinking about what others have eaten, struggling to concentrate because of the food thoughts, planning meals for the next week, watching what I eat in a day content, thinking about food straight after having just eaten, browsing supermarket shelves for fun, and building sandwiches in your mind like I did, looking through menus of local restaurants, planning your day or your week around food, watching TV and only noticing what the characters are eating, constantly baking or learning new recipes, questioning whether your hunger is real, planning how you will exercise to allow your food, thinking about how long it has been since you last ate, and very likely you're probably quite mentally hungry if you clicked on this video. To me, I know that I'm mentally hungry when I'm trying to focus on something, like researching for this video, but I struggle to focus for more than 2 minutes before finding myself in the kitchen, wondering what will we eat for dinner later, or pining over that ice cream tub in the freezer. I swear it's calling out to me. When experiencing disordered eating or any type of dietary restriction, our hunger signals get disrupted or tampered with. We stop feeling the same physical hunger signs, like that belly grumbling. Our body is very smart, and it's learned that we're no longer responding to those physical cues. And if the body thinks that resources are scarce or that we're in a famine because we've been restricting, it won't waste resources on unanswered hunger cues. Those physical hunger cues take a lot of energy to create. Belly rumbles need the contraction of the abdominal muscles. That requires quite a lot of energy. However, mental hunger doesn't require as much energy. It takes less effort to send a thought through the brain. So when we have little energy to spare, it makes sense that our brain opts for the mental hunger over the physical hunger. Mental hunger is simply the most efficient way our body has of communicating hunger. And when we're in recovery, it actually tends to be more reliable than physical hunger signals. But even in people without eating disorders, physical hunger can be disrupted by stress, anxiety, poor sleep, grief, and it can be unreliable for those reasons too. Mental hunger is just as valid as physical hunger. Again, for non-disordered people, they'll probably just go grab a snack when their mind is wandering to food, rather than overthinking or questioning whether the hunger is real. In fact, there are a number of different types of hunger that we experience as humans, including both mental and physical. So I'll leave a link to some different articles on the types of hunger below, and the information varies from source to source, but almost all of the theories include physical and mental hunger in some capacity. Honestly, I think this is a space that could do with some scientific backing, as clearly these are universal experiences, and I'm not sure we fully understand the experience of hunger in general. It sounds simple, but the more I research hunger, the more questions are unanswered. Anyway, long story short, mindful eating practices suggest a number of different types of hunger. These are yet to be backed by scientific study, even though I'm sure this is all really relatable for pretty much every human. In recovery, you need to show your brain that resources aren't in fact scarce, that food is abundant and readily available. To do this, you need to respond to both physical and mental hunger signals, especially as, like I just said, mental hunger cues can be more reliable, even in non-disordered people. Just because physical hunger can so easily be disrupted, being stressed, sick, anxious, tired, for example. Therefore, let's lean into our mental hunger and eat when we find our mind wandering to food. But what happens when mental and physical hunger signals don't align? Like when you're mentally still hungry, but you're physically really full. I have to say that in my experience, this was much more common in the early days of eating disorder recovery. And I discussed this a little bit in my video on extreme hunger. But basically, when you're restricting, your stomach actually physically shrinks. So when you enter recovery, it's physically difficult to eat as much food as your body needs. That's why those very early days of recovery are so uncomfortable, and in fact they can be downright painful. You might often have to eat past this physical fullness to be able to eat the sheer quantity of food that you need to restore and recover. I have shared before some ways to manage this, like wearing loose clothing, taking plenty of rest, using hot water bottles, and making sure not to fill up on empty calories. And by that I mean gum, water, fizzy drinks, etc. Instead, to honour mental hunger, eat what you are truly thinking about, whatever's actually on your mind, not a diet or low-calorie version. I found that I could only get rid of the constant nagging thoughts of food when I ate what my brain was actually crying out for. But if I listened to my mental hunger, I'd be eating all the time. I hear you. And maybe so, I definitely did for a while. But no, you're not developing binge eating disorder. The reason why you are so mentally hungry at the start of recovery is because you've been restricting. You've been avoiding food, trying not to think about it. Let's do a quick thought experiment together. For the next 30 seconds, I want you to think about anything except from a pink elephant. Let me guess, you found it hard not to think about the pink elephant. The more you tried to push that thought away, the stronger it became. Same with mental hunger. The more you try to suppress it, the stronger it becomes. You need to truly honour it. And yes, at first, that might mean eating a lot of food because you've ignored it for however long you were restricting for, but it doesn't last forever. Think about people in your life who haven't experienced an eating disorder. Do you think that they think about food 24/7? Probably not, unless they are engrossed in diet culture, which again means they're suppressing their natural mental hunger. Anyway, speaking of diet culture, one thing that diet culture completely demonizes is mindless or boredom eating. Diet culture loves to on eating when you're not really hungry. Not really hungry. Okay, I get it. For some people without an eating disorder, this might be a genuine concern. However, in recovery, I would try not to overthink or second guess your hunger. You can work on eating intuitively or mindfully later. Now you just need to restore and recover. So just eat when you think about food and keep it simple. Also, can we just take a moment What is so bad about boredom eating from time to time? We all do it. So at this point, I really wouldn't get caught up in the specifics. If you are anything like me, mental hunger is impeding on your life. When I'm mentally hungry, I simply cannot do anything else because I can't concentrate. That's not mindless eating. Even if I grab a snack, watch some YouTube, and then go back to doing what I was focusing on initially, that's not mindless eating. That's eating when you're hungry. That's eating full stop. I know a lot of you were worried that something was wrong because you found yourself thinking about calorie-dense foods like chocolate, sweets, or in my case, bread. In recovery, you often crave most what you restricted the most. Just think back to the thought experiment we did. You tried so hard to avoid these foods, and now your body is crying out for them. Eventually, as you listen to your mental hunger, the cravings will adapt and change, and you'll start thinking about other types of food as well. At the end of the day, mental hunger is hunger, but for some reason we don't perceive it to be as valid as physical hunger like belly growling, but it is. It's the most natural, intuitive form of hunger, and eventually, when you show your body that food will always be there in abundance and hunger cues will be responded to, the relentless food thoughts slow down. You can move on to bigger and simply better things, but do keep in mind that mental hunger will never go away completely. Whilst it might change over time, and it won't always be constant 24/7 nagging, everyone experiences mental hunger. Everybody. It's part of life and it's part of the human experience. And it is, long story short, a valid form of hunger. So this video could have been summed up in 2 sentences. 1, mental hunger is just hunger. And 2, eat when you're thinking about food. That's it. I hope that you found this video helpful, maybe informative. If not, thanks for being here anyway. If you're watching this video and you've watched to this point, you very likely are mentally hungry. So tune in to yourself. What are you hungry for? And go get it, even if that means running down to the local shop. And I'm sending you all of my love. Do pop any other questions in the comment section down below. I'll do my best to respond, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!